Hey guys, welcome to today's reading. This time we are going to keep it very open-ended and let Spirit come through with whatever they need you to know, whatever they want to tell you. And today we have a selection of cards for you to choose from. If you're new to this channel, welcome. And basically you're going to see which of these cards is sticking out to you, calling your name, drawing your attention in. And then as soon as you've made up your mind, just scroll down to the timestamps in the comments and the description and jump right into your pile. By the way, if you like how I read tarot, then you should definitely check out my Patreon where I post all my additional readings. I also post early access and ad-free access to all my YouTube readings. So as soon as you sign up, you'll get access to over 65 unique readings over there. I just posted one all about your weaknesses, and before that, about your love life and past lifetimes, how that's affecting your current love life. But there are so many different readings. There are love readings, relationship readings, career, money readings, family, friend readings, spirituality readings, fun readings. There's so much extra content over there, and like I said, you also get early access and ad-free access to my YouTube videos. So whatever gets posted over here gets posted over there first, and you won't have to sit through any ads as well. So if that all sounds good to you, then head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description, and I would love to see you there. Also, if you would like to get a private one-on-one session with me, have me pull cards for you, channel for you, look into whatever kind of information you're wanting to seek out via tarot, channeling, mediumship, astrology, or a combination of all four, you can get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and the link for that is in my description. So thanks so much for watching, guys. If you need more time to decide, then feel free to rewind, pause, and take as much time as you need, but we're going to go ahead and jump into pile one. Hey pile one, welcome to your reading. So if you guys picked this card, this is going to be your reading. So for your other cards, you got Coming Apart, One Ring Circus, Slow and Steady, and Golden Palace. So I feel like lately a lot of you guys possibly have been going through it. Maybe you have been just feeling like everything is falling apart around you, or things just aren't working out the way you expected. It may be one of those times when everything that can go wrong does seem like it's going wrong. And I feel like there is a message for you, first of all, that life goes through phases. You know, life is like a roller coaster. There's peaks, there's troughs, there's high points, there's low points, there's mountains and valleys. And sometimes we're just in that valley, and we've just kind of got to have the persistence to keep going and trust that eventually things will get better. And the things that are stressing us out now sometimes are the journey we have to go on to get to that mountain. Sometimes we have to go through that low point to get to the high point. So as much as it may be difficult, and of course it can be super frustrating when we're in that season where all the little things are just falling apart and things just seem like they couldn't be working out worse, sometimes that's a part of the unfolding of leading us to the right destination that we want to end up in. I'm sure we can all think of times when we've been like, oh my God, this is so frustrating, this is so annoying, and then it ends up leading us to some place that is even better than we thought. You know, I'm thinking of a time when I was staying in this hotel. I really liked the room. There was a few minor issues, like it was kind of noisy at times, but I liked the view a lot. I thought the room was really nice and I was happy. And then they contacted me, and then they were like, oh, you're gonna have to move rooms, like we're doing work on that side of the hotel or something, so we're gonna have you move. And I was like, what? I was like, but I'm happy in this room, like I don't really want to move, I don't want to pack my stuff up, like I'm fine here for the next few days and whatever. And they were insistent that like, no, we don't want you dealing with the noise, so we'll just move you to the other side of the hotel. And I was annoyed, I'm not gonna lie. I was like grumbling, packing my stuff up, thinking about how like, of course this would happen to me. You know, I'm on vacation, I get this nice room, and then I have to move halfway through my trip. Like, what is this? And what happened was the new room I absolutely loved. It was way higher, so I could see a beautiful view, which I love. And it was, I think it was on the top floor actually. So That's my fave. And it was just so much more peaceful. There was no one above me making noise or anything, and I am kind of noise sensitive. So it ended up being just this perfect, beautiful situation. Now, I was super mad as I'm packing my stuff. I was like, oh, of course this would happen. Of course. And yet it was like me being upgraded in a way. You know what I mean? And how many times in our life do we have that resistance to something? Are we grumbling and complaining about something and we don't even realize that's happening for our benefit? In the new room, I was like, oh, this is so nice. And I liked the view better. It was like a different angle of the hotel, of course. So I could see out further and it was lovely. And so my point is that sometimes spirit is like upgrading you. Sometimes spirit has like an improvement in your life and you have to go through something that may seem negative because again, I had to like pack all my bags up. I don't like having to pack. So I was like, this is so annoying. But my point is that it worked out. And I think so much of the time we get caught up in like the frustration of the moment. We get caught up in why is this happening to me, or this is really unfair, when maybe there's a reason why it's happening. Maybe there's a lesson or even an upgrade, something that is happening for our benefit. And so there's a reminder that it's almost like sometimes you just got to brace yourself and hold on when all those things seem like they're coming against you, seem like they're not working out. Because in the end, you might be like, I'm so glad I went through that. And I feel like it may be a little chaotic around you. Keep in mind that if you're watching this when I do release this video, it is a timeless reading, so you can watch it whenever, but it is eclipse season. Eclipse season is very heightened. I think this one is extremely intense. We can see from world events that this eclipse season has been insane. But I think that, you know, the energy in the air is very high strung and eclipses can have really long lasting effects. So sometimes the best thing you can do when you're going through this kind of astrological weather is just kind of brace yourself. It's like if you were in the middle of winter and there was a winter storm, you'd just stay inside, or you would just bundle up and put on your warmest coat and your mittens and your gloves and, well, maybe not both, but one or the other, and a hat, and then you'd go out into the cold and just steel yourself to like, I know it's going to be freezing. I know I'm going to get like probably some, you know, freezing cheeks and my nose is going to turn red, and it's okay because this is just a temporary thing and spring will come, you know? So I think sometimes for you, there's just this call of like, don't be so, focus on like, why is this happening now, or what's going on, or I don't understand this, because I feel like this is part of the journey. And maybe you're going to look back in the future and be like, wow, that all worked out. I'm sure you will. You know, I mentioned that before, that like when I found some old emails from my college days and stuff in my calendar that I had put with like all caps. And I know they were papers from when I was in school and I was a philosophy major and had to write all these papers, and I would stress out about them so much. And now I can't even remember like what, you know, what papers they were, what class it was from. I don't even know. And that's how little they matter to me now. Everything worked out. And one day, I know it's hard to imagine, but you're going to look back at the stresses you have now and be like, oh my God, no big deal. You know, you'll figure it out. You'll manage it. So stop allowing yourself to go in a spiral of worry or negativity and just try to be more accepting of what's going on. Let's get into some more cards. So we got the Four of Pentacles reversed, the Emperor reversed, the Eight of Swords, the Knight of Swords, and the Wheel of Fortune reversed. So with the Knight of Swords reversed combined with the Four of Pentacles reversed and the Emperor reversed, I feel like there may be a message for you just to like keep all your I's dotted and T's crossed at this time. So kind of like making sure that you have all your ducks in a row, you know, making sure that even though the situation may be chaotic and you may be in a season or an era where things feel very up in the air or things seem very chaotic, not to be chaotic yourself, not to allow yourself to fall into an energy of panic or stress or anxiety. That's when we kind of make reckless decisions, bad decisions. You know, I always think whenever someone's coming to me for like a private reading and they're like, I'm really stressed because it has to work out, blah, 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 and I have to meet someone within the next, I'm like, oh, immediately no to this energy, because that's like the worst energy to approach any situation when you're desperate, when you're frantic, when you're, you know, frenzied about it and you're panicked. That will seep into whatever you're doing. It's not to say you can't act with urgency, or you can't be like, hey, I need to take care of this right now and I'm going to push really hard and make it happen. But when we're like out of our minds and we're motivated by fear or lack or this anxiety of like, oh my God, it's not going to work out, and then that's going to also screw up whatever this is. And so that's why it's really important to constantly take ourselves back to a place of peace and understanding. This is where I think so many successful people meditate, because honestly, what's amazing about meditation is that you can always kind of touch God, and God is that place of peace and calm and unlimited acceptance. Whatever you may call God, you don't have to, you know, say God, you can say spirit, you can say whatever you want, but there is a place that all of us can reach that's inside of ourselves, that's a place of no worries, total calm, understanding that everything is unfolding as it should, and that we're put on this planet to learn certain lessons. So anything that's happening in our life that may seem disruptive or negative or really getting under our skin is probably just teaching us that really big lesson. So it's kind of like this is our final exam at the end of the school year before summer. You know, you could look at it that way, like it's going to be a bigger test. Not to say that after that we'll graduate and never have to deal with that lesson again, but actually, yeah, once we master a lesson, that kind of fades out of our life. So if it keeps coming up, just think of it as like, gotta take this test again. I always love Joel Osteen's joke he makes where he's like, the funny thing about tests is, you know, the good thing about it, if you fail it the first time, God lets you take it again and again and again. I always laugh about that because, you know, that's obviously the last thing we want, but in a way it's good because, again, we came to this planet to learn. We came to this planet to master certain things, certain lessons. And I was just reading about the journey of souls, and they said that, which is an amazing book, and someone was talking about their past lives and basically doing a channeling, a hypnotism session. And they said that they had been on this planet for 40,000 years, repeating and learning the same lesson that they couldn't master. Now, I can't think of like, I mean, that's pretty bad, right? When it comes to like the worst thing that could happen to you, reincarnating for 40,000 years to learn the same lesson would be pretty freaking frustrating. So keep in mind that each of these tests, as painful as they may be, as difficult as they may be, and as much as we may not want to deal with it in the moment, that is actually a good thing. It's preventing us from having to go back and repeat this lesson for 40,000 years, which I think none of us would want. So actually, it's a beautiful opportunity. And like I said, it's like, because I know for me, there were teachers that I had that would be super strict about grading, and they'd be like, oh, well, if you turn in your test late or you turn in your paper late, that was it. You didn't get any other chances. And I was always really grateful for the teachers who would be like, oh, well, if you were sick for that pop quiz, it's okay. I'll give it to you. You can take it tomorrow in like a separate room. Or if you turned in this paper late, I'll dock you a couple points, but it's okay. I'll still grade it. Those are actually the benevolent, nice teachers. So I know it's hard when we're going through this to kind of understand that the universe is doing it for our benefit. The universe is doing it to be kind to us, to be nice to us, and to help us. But that's really what's going on. We have endless opportunities to master this. So going back to the Knight of Swords, again, I feel like there's a message with you just to kind of keep your head screwed on straight. I feel like when we're going through a season of additional stress, where there's a lot going on, we can tend to really kind of not lose our mind, but we can tend to get really scattered. We can tend to forget things. We can tend to brush over things or leave things out or not get everything done that we need to get done. And so it's almost like we have to be additionally careful during those times when we're going through a lot, when we're dealing with a lot. I know it's hard to add another thing to your plate and make you stress about something else, but that's when we have to be extra careful about making sure that we're really taking care of everything. We're really making sure all the details are managed, everything is handled, because that's the time when we might not notice, right? When we're already thinking about other things, when we're stressed out. So there is this message for some of you guys as well, that with the Emperor reversed, the Four of Pentacles, it's almost like you are being tested to step into some kind of a greater power. You are being tested to see if you can handle this. Like, I feel like for some of you guys, you've wanted to level up, you have wanted to take on new responsibilities, you've wanted to go new places, and it's like, well, you're gonna have to deal with stuff like this and that. You know, there's gonna be high stress situations. The higher you climb, the lower the altitude, I guess, is a metaphor that I just thought of. I don't know how well that works, but it is harder to breathe. You know, the higher that's why they call it rarefied air. You know, not everyone gets to be up there. And so just like that in life, the more we rise up the ranks of something, the more responsibilities, the more intense it is. You know, the low level employee isn't probably going to have like sleepless nights on call, but the CEO might, you know. Of course, it depends on the company, but the more responsibility you have, the more privileges you have as well. So sometimes we want the privileges, we want the benefits, but we kind of don't realize that, like, oh, it's going to get more stressful. And there's a message for some of you guys that, like, yeah, you're leveling up. And so that's why there's more stress. That's why. It's because I feel like a lot of you guys have been growing. You've been working on yourselves. You've been pushing yourself. And you're kind of in that uncomfortable growth period where, like, it's a little uncomfortable, you know, where yeah, it's reminding me of the phrase growing pains. So like when kids are growing, they'll literally be physically uncomfortable, especially when you hear stories about, like, you know, a 7th grade boy who sprouts up like 6 inches in a summer or something like that. A lot of times they'll feel physically uncomfortable because their bones are growing at this massive rate, and it's not a comfortable feeling. You're feeling your bones stretch, and it takes more work from your body and all of that. So I feel like that's almost something a lot of you guys are going through right now, is like you're kind of being pushed to level up a little bit, to make yourself better in some ways. And I know that's really uncomfortable, but in a way, this is like just a glimpse of the things that you want in the future and the things you will accomplish. So maybe take these lessons on, accept them, again, don't resist them, and just know that this is part of the journey. So we got deep diver, diving into a task, the further gate, bold step forward, netcaster, preparations come to fruition, and root girl, the disowned self. So yeah, I think this is definitely a step further for you. And with the deep diver card, there's almost like a question for you about how can you embrace this more. I think so much of the time when we're going through these eras, when it feels like everything's coming against us, it feels like we're under high stress, it feels like things just aren't working out, it's like we're questioning, how can I get out of this? How can I end this? How can I stop this pain? How can I, you know, make things just easier for me? And actually, the best way to deal with this is to just question, how can I lean into it? How can I embrace it? How can I allow this situation to transform me? How can I allow myself to learn lessons from this? How can I stop fighting? How can I just kind of chill? You know, it's like they say that, you know, it's funny when someone's drowning, it's really dangerous to rescue them because the drowning people are in such a state of agitation and panic that they very often will drown the rescuer. Even the trained rescuer who's like, you know, studied and practiced a million times of how to rescue someone, they'll be so frenzied and so panicked that they'll just take the other person and drown them because they're like pulling on them so hard, and the other person will go underwater and not be able to breathe. And anyway, they have to like give them really harsh instructions of like, don't touch me, in order to be able to carry out a rescue. Otherwise, the drowned person will just lose their mind. And my thought about that is kind of like, I know it's hard because sometimes when we feel like we're drowning, we get in that state of agitation and panic. We start freaking out. We start feeling like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. When the reality is that that person, if they can get back into themselves and just remain still, which I know is hard when you're drowning and losing oxygen, but if they could just do that, it's going to be a million times more easy for them to be rescued. Then that person can just pull them out of the water, no problem. But they have to really be harsh with these people who are drowning because they will drown the other person. And in that same way, I think sometimes we make our own problems worse when if we just relaxed ourselves, if we just calmed down, if we just like took our bearings and we're like, oh, I'm okay. I'm not drowning. I can just tread water here. I'm good. Then maybe everything would work out for us and maybe things would get a lot better. So sometimes I think even just a practice of gratitude, even just counting our blessings, saying 10 things we're grateful for, saying 5 things. Sometimes you can't think of 10, right? Sometimes you can only think of 3. That's okay. But saying something we're grateful for, thinking, I really try to make that a ritual of like 5, 10 things that I'm happy about, especially on those days when I am losing my mind and I'm really upset and I'm like harried and I'm rushing around, or something just has gone horrible. That's when it's really important to kind of pause, take a step back and be like, okay, so what can I count? Let me count down all the things that I can feel genuine gratitude for. And sometimes it's small. Sometimes it's just like, well, I got running water, right? I got a roof over my head, or I'm healthy, or I'm alive, or whatever. But usually you can come up with a few things. You can go down and start thinking of others. You can find things that make you genuinely pleased to be alive. And that literally shifts your vibration so powerfully. And you'll find yourself leaving that energy of spiraling down into negativity and finding a place of positivity, finding a place of genuine gratitude and awe and love for the universe, which is our natural state, the place we're supposed to be. That's why kids act like that, That's why kids are usually pretty joyful and happy-go-lucky, and you give them a cardboard box and they're like, wow. That's probably because they're newly incarnated souls too. So they haven't become jaded. As adults, we're so used to everything. We're so used to the sky and the trees and the leaves and, the feel of like cool air against our skin. It doesn't really faze us. But when you think about it, it's a freaking miracle, and that's why like they keep trying to find like places that humans can live, other planets that they can put us on, like Mars or wherever. And honestly, nowhere else even comes close to Earth. It's not even like habitable, let alone the immense, incredible beauty of planet Earth. And that's why, it was chosen as our like boarding school. Just like you pick a pretty boarding school for your kid, if you're sending them off to school, you want one with like ivy covering the old stone halls, right? So that's why they picked Earth to send us to. It is such a beautiful, beautiful place. And even when we can't find things directly to be grateful for, if we can even just remove ourselves from being so focused on the small things and focus on the beauty of the sky, the beauty of the leaves, the way the seasons are changing, or the way that the morning air smells or feels against our skin. All those little things will take us into that place of alignment with the universe, wonder, that's going to start manifesting the things we really want. Let me get some message cards for pile number 1. Faraway places. Get ready for new horizons. Taking shelter. The answers are within. Let me get one more. Finding sanctuary, opening to your spiritual source. I actually feel like this is a very exciting time for you, pile 1. I'm feeling like there's going to be a major step forward or leveling up or some kind of breakthrough happening in your life over the next few months is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing you're not ready for it. That's what they just said, that you're not ready. So they're preparing you now. So think of it like that. Like you're in the final stages of, it's like when you think about school. Whenever you're in the final stages of, your year, whenever you're in like, at least in America, our school year ends around May, June. So starting in like April, you start getting more tests and more exams and more papers. And the final big paper that she was talking about all year is starting to get due. So you have to start studying for that and, doing your research and putting it together and the big projects. And all of a sudden the workload starts ramping up and people are just spending lots of time in the library and stuff, right? So it's like the same thing can be true for life. Sometimes when we're feeling the most overwhelmed and we're feeling so stressed out, that's because Spirit is planning to level us up and bring us into something beautiful and new. So think of it as that for you. Think of it as you are in a time and a journey for yourself where you are being pushed to some kind of beautiful new horizon. This is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. I know know it's stressful. I know it can be painful to go through this, but honestly, I feel like you are really growing and turning into a much better version of yourself. You're becoming much more powerful than you were. And in a few months' time, I honestly think you're going to have some of the things you've wanted for a really long time that may have seemed out of reach. You're finally becoming in energetic alignment with that. So you just need to keep pushing, accept these lessons, accept these twists and turns, and not, yeah, sabotage yourself out of this by like panicking or being negative about it. Just accept that it's happening for your benefit. So, yeah, I think that's what I have for you, pile number one. I really hope that resonated. If it did, let me know in the comments. I always love hearing from you. Also, make sure to give this reading a thumbs up, hit the like button, and subscribe, turn on notifications. And if you want to see more of my content, head to my Patreon. I just posted a reading all about your weaknesses, and before that, about your love life and past lifetimes. But as soon as you sign up, you will get access to over 65 additional readings, as well as ad-free YouTube videos, early access to my YouTube videos that are ad-free. So yeah, there's a ton of content over there. If you want to join us, then head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description. And if you want to see a private reading with me, have my undivided attention, you can get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and you can get a tarot reading, channeling, mediumship, or astrology reading with me. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. I'm sending you all my love, and I'll be back again very soon with another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey Pile 2, welcome to your reading. So if you picked this clarity card, this is going to be your reading. So for your other cards, you got Dry Desert, Moonlight, Follow the Leader, and Magic Prayer. So for a lot of you guys, I feel that this is an exciting time for you. Some of you are really being called to step up into possibly some kind of a leadership position, or even just putting yourself out there in some kind of way. I feel like you should know that people are just really drawn to you, and there is something I feel like Spirit has put inside of you that you're really, really good at, and Spirit would like to see you pursue it. So maybe you've had an idea for a story that you want to write, and Spirit is like, come on, go ahead, like let's write it, let's make it happen. Or maybe you've been wanting to like even have a different sense of fashion or a different sense of style, or put yourself out there more. Maybe even it's as simple as like posting a photo dump on Instagram or something, and you kind of have been debating about like, should I do it? I don't know. But I feel like it's like you need to shine your light with the world and spread it with the world, because people are so drawn to you. You know, people, I feel like at this time are wanting to see you, wanting to see more of you, wanting to see everything about you. And I also feel like you need to know that your energy is very special. It's very infectious, especially when you're feeling happy. I feel like there's something just so joyful and radiant and beautiful about you. And I feel like you should also take steps to put yourself in that energy, because you might not even realize that your energy, you're like an energy leader in some ways. You know how like, this is kind of funny, but Jasper in like the Twilight Saga, he could influence other people's emotions. And if he wanted people to feel like sad, he could do that. If he wanted people to feel brave or happy or whatever, he could do all that. I'm almost getting you guys have that same vibe. Like you have the ability to make people excited about something, or to make people happy, or whatever the case may be. And so it's like the more positive you can be, the more you can find ways to make yourself happy, then the better off everyone else around you will be. You don't even realize that I think a lot of the people around you see you as a role model and kind of look to you for your guidance or your wisdom, or just wanting to see what you're doing because they like you and they kind of think what you're doing is always pretty cool. So yeah, my advice for you is to like look after yourself first as well. Look out for the things that make you feel good. I think sometimes when we have a lot on our plate, or when we are a leader, we always feel the need to like help others or to like get things done. But sometimes the best thing you can do to help a group, especially when there's so many people who are like dependent on you and emotionally kind of feeding off you, is to just make yourself happy. So even though it may not seem super productive, spending a night in and ordering a pizza and watching Netflix, if it's genuinely going to make you happy, which I don't know if that, to be honest, would, because I think that's more like short-term happiness. But if that's what you feel like doing, and that's really what your heart is telling you to do, and that's going to put a real smile on your face and make you feel joyful, then you should do it. Or maybe it's going, if you are somewhere where you have access to this, and I know it's cold in a lot of places, but maybe if you're someplace warm, maybe laying out by the pool and having a little tropical drink is going to make you happy. Maybe making time out of your day for going for a run, or for meditating, or for waking up early and doing your workout or something, so it'll give you some endorphins. But I feel like it's almost like you need to be more proactive about looking out for yourself and carving out time to feed your energy back, because I do feel like sometimes you get very energetically depleted and you kind of get burnt out without even realizing what's going on. Even something like taking spiritual baths regularly, or even a spiritual shower, is going to be really crucially important for you guys to clear off other people's energy, because I do feel like people just are energetically super drawn to you. Even like strangers might just be like, who is that person? Wow, they have such a bright light to them. Oh, let me get close to them, and might energetically really pull on you. That's why it's important to do that spiritual maintenance of like taking a spiritual bath regularly, or taking a spiritual shower regularly. But wearing spiritual protection, all that jazz. But yeah, I think that honestly, the people around you, it's like they don't even realize sometimes that they're taking out more from you than they give back. And they're not trying to be malevolent or mean, or they're not trying to do this. It's not like they're like, let me do this to pile number two. Let me steal their energy from them. It's just something that I think your energy is so infectious and so positive that people are drawn to it like a light in the dark, and that's a beautiful, good thing. But I think you just have to make sure that you're also feeding yourself back with things that make you feel good. And depending on what kind of like human design profile you have, maybe you recharge from spending time around others, or spending time alone, or spending time by actually being really productive and going for a workout, and waking up early and watching the sunrise over a mountain. Maybe that's going to make you feel really good. Or maybe you recharge by sleeping and resting and curling up with a really good book. Whatever works for you, and you can also be both, of course, is fine. But I think it's just like there's almost this need of like spirits kind of asking like, when do you actually look after yourself? When do you actually kind of pause and take time for you? Because I feel like a lot of times you are rushing around, you are focusing on others, and you're not really doing the work of looking out for me, looking out for numero uno. I mentioned this in another reading, but there's a reason why in airplanes they tell you to put your oxygen mask on first. And I actually recently found out the reason why, and it's kind of scary, but it's because they always tell you that. And it's not just philosophical or like, yeah, you should do that. It's because you have about 10 to 15 seconds after the plane loses altitude, depending, it doesn't happen to everyone, but before you lose consciousness. So I did not know it was that insanely like intense, but literally if you don't put on your oxygen mask first, you'll just pass out in your seat. So yeah, you might put on your kid really quick, but then you're gonna pass out and the kid's not gonna be able to help you. So that's why it's super important that you put it on yourself first. The adult does it on themselves, because then they can, even if the kid passes out, they can put it on him, but I thought that was so interesting. Apparently they don't tell us that in planes because they don't want to freak us out and like get everyone terrified. But yeah, I thought that was really, it made a lot more sense to me why they always say that. And I think the same is true in life though, of course, is like when we're focusing on like worrying about this person and we're neglecting our own energy, we actually have way less to give to others. So there is this message for you that if there's something small that you wanted to do, if there is something where you're kind of wanting to look out for yourself, you're wanting to take a little bit of a rest day and do things that make you happy, or hang out with friends, but you've been like forcing yourself to be really productive, or worrying about like, but I have to achieve this, and I need to make sure that's covered and blah, blah, blah. There's this message that it's okay for you to pause. It's okay for you to take a break. It's okay for you to rest. Look out for yourself, pile two, because if you're not doing it, you're actually going to have less energy to give to others. Let's get into some more cards. So we got the 7 of Pentacles, the Nine of Cups, the Five of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles, and the Ace of Wands. So I feel like for you guys, there is this energy. Again, we have the Nine of Cups about how your emotional happiness will influence and affect others. And I feel like some of you, like, it's like you've reached a point at times where you've been such an empty well, you know, and you keep trying to give to others and almost getting frustrated with yourself of like, why don't I have the energy for this? Or why haven't I been doing a good job with this? Or like, why hasn't this been working out? And that may be because you're overextending yourself. You're not looking out for yourself and really doing things that bring you joy. And sometimes that takes work, right? Like sometimes, you know, we recharge from relationships, but someone who's been a workaholic for years probably doesn't have that many close relationships, or someone who's been kind of neglecting their social side of things and like, oh, that's a waste of time, probably isn't going to have a bunch of friends that they can call up, or a boyfriend or a girlfriend. So sometimes we got to kind of go back to the drawing room, or the drawing board. It's not super comfortable to be like, oh yeah, I guess I got to go find some friends. Okay, let me go meet a bunch of strangers and wade through them and try to find the right match. But it's going to be so worth it in the end. You're going to be so happy that you put that effort in, and you'll probably feel really recharged once you have those relationships flowing and going for a lot of you guys. There also is a message that just came through really strong that if some of you guys are nervous or feeling like you're on the wrong path, just don't worry, rest assured you are on the right path. You're not off track. I feel like some of you guys have been stressing about that or feeling like maybe you made a mistake. You haven't, but I feel like you're gonna have to make the active choice to seek out these kinds of relationships. We have the Two of Pentacles, which is all about balance, and it's about balance that we kind of choose to make in our life. It's not about just, you know, emotional balance or the idea of balance or something we're really excited to do. It's about literally making those kind of boring choices of like, you know what, I'm gonna have a rest day today, or I'm gonna do this work today, and making sure that we're not too out of whack with one or the other, because Pentacles are all about those kinds of boring everyday decisions, right? Like, I'm gonna wake up, I'm gonna do this routine, I'm gonna have this, I'm gonna make money this way, I'm gonna clock in at the office. And so it's also about our physical, like our actual physical body and the physical side of things. So it's like, how much balance are we finding? Are we really finding times to sleep, to recharge? Are we finding times to exert ourselves? Are we finding times to do things that we really love? I think so much of the time, so many people, they just end up like in a 9 to 5 schedule, burnt out. They don't even have time to think about, you know, oh, well, how am I emotionally feeling right now? They just are like zombies, you know, kind of going to the office and then coming home and then going to sleep. And I think a solution to that is obviously you can't necessarily change your schedule or tell your boss like, hey, clocking out at 1 p.m. today, I'm just not feeling like working, thanks, because it's probably not going to go over super well. But maybe you could use your time after work better, instead of like mindlessly watching TV and just like grabbing a bag of chips and just eating that, or stressing out to make a really healthy meal, but we're really resentful the whole time and we're like chopping vegetables, but we hate cooking and it just annoys us. So we're kind of like stressing as we cook and it's not making us feel better. That's not gonna like recharge you. And so finding the things that will truly recharge us, maybe that's like picking up delivery from like a local healthier place instead of doing that, or doing a little research in advance so we can find like, oh, there's some healthy organic pre-made meals, and I can get them in the frozen section and then just warm them up in the oven. So that's what I'll do, you know. There's so many different solutions. Or there's a salad that literally takes, you know, 10 minutes or 5 minutes to put together. And so instead of me chopping these vegetables for 2 hours every night, putting together a meal, and by the time I eat it, I'm exhausted, I can barely keep my eyes open. I've been like watching this old reality show that I've seen a million times and it doesn't do anything for me while I'm cooking, and I'm just stressed, and I'm watching the news. That's another thing. We spend so much of our time watching the news, and obviously, you know, it can be extremely stressful to say the least. Yep, but those things are going to just burn us out. And so we have to be very conscientious about how we're putting our energy in. Are the things we're doing making us feel better? Or are they making us feel worse? And if they're making us feel worse, what can we shift, change, alter so that we are more energized by the end of it, so that we are positive, so that we are good? Sometimes it's just as simple as like, I'm going to go for a morning walk every day instead of like as soon as I wake up getting on my phone. I know this is so trite. Everyone says the same thing, but they probably say it for a reason. And I'm just as guilty of getting on my phone right away as anyone. But maybe I'm going to get up, I'm going to throw the windows open, get some sun in, and then I'm going to go for a quick walk, take a shower. I'm going to start my day that way. Maybe I don't need to have my morning coffee because it actually does give me anxiety and I didn't realize it. Or maybe, I want to put together a healthy breakfast. I've been skipping breakfast and I realize that I feel so much better when I eat something. But I think we really have to sometimes pause, sit down and take the time to like interrogate that and be like, what's going on here? Like, I just realized recently, this is kind of a funny example, but I whenever I get like food delivery, I always try to get organic because I eat organic, and I'll do the search for like organic, but a lot of times like I don't like the search algorithm because I don't feel like it shows me like all the organic restaurants. Like it'll just show me places that have it in the title, or if they have like I don't understand the algorithm of the search at all on this like delivery app. But whatever. So I would always just order from the same places, even though I didn't feel like the food was that good because it was like organic. And then recently I was searching through and I was like, I'm just not going to get that place again. Like I didn't feel that good last time. So I'm going to keep searching. And I found a place that had the most amazing organic food that was like a French restaurant, and the chef was French and they had French breads and everything's organic, and it was so my kind of food. And I was like, I can't believe this was here the whole time and I didn't find it. But the truth is that every time before I would be like rushing around, I would be like hungry, I'd be like, I want food, I'm just gonna, this is fine, you know what I mean? And I just like placed the order. I didn't really want to spend the time like searching through and checking all the menu items. And granted, I think that search algorithm needs a lot of work and it's just horrible. But sometimes it's like we got to take that extra step. I know that's a silly example, but it's like sometimes there's this perfect thing we want. That's exactly what we wanted. And it's, maybe a step outside the places we would normally look. Maybe it's just takes a little extra research or takes a little bit more preparation, and we're just not willing to do that. Sometimes we got to kind of step outside of our routine and not just go with the things we know. We've got to kind of push ourselves to broaden our horizons just a little bit. So I think sometimes for you guys, there's this message of like pushing yourselves a little bit to figure out the things that are going to make you happy, and maybe even looking outside of the norm or those routines we all fall into, to kind of be more open to like, maybe this is the actual thing that's going to make me happy. Maybe I'm going to enjoy this, and maybe I didn't realize that or I wouldn't expect that, but maybe this is the perfect thing for me. Let's get into some more cards. So we got Repairing the Veil, Forgiveness, First Breath, Beginner's Mind, Feast of Plenty, Choices and Their Consequences, and Deep Quiet Meditation and Stillness. I feel like there's a lighter energy about you guys, to be honest. Like it feels like things are kind of easier for you right now, to be honest. Or maybe that's an energy that's coming in. If some of you guys right now are like, no, it's not. Everything's horrible right now. I don't know. But I feel like there's a call for you to kind of be a little bit lighter, maybe even throwing your windows open and letting some light in. I think sometimes that's so key and crucial. When I do private readings, I can feel when someone's in like a stuffy environment that they haven't cleansed. Like it's you can feel it so strong. And I'll be like, have you ever saged? And they'll be like, no. And I'm like, do you ever open your windows? No. And like I can tell because the energy, it's like pent up and stuffy, and it becomes like sticky almost around them, and it really affects people's behavior. It's actually crazy. Every time I'll be like, have you been feeling depressed? Have you been? And every time they're like, yes, yep. And it's so funny because it's such an easy fix. All you have to do is like sage your place, throw open the windows. You don't even have to sage it. You could just throw open the windows. That'll do a lot. But saging really will do a deep clean. Saging is not something you necessarily want to do every time, because it's kind of like bleach or something. Like it's going to get everything out, So you want to use it whenever you're like, there's some really stinky energy in here. Let me get this out. But you don't need to necessarily do it every day, which some people say to do. Like that would just to me, that would clear out all the energies. I always like to have some energies floating around, positive energies usually. That's why I do Palo Santo, to bring in some positive little angel energy and positive spirit energy. But yeah, I think there's almost this energy of like cleansing yourself, literally, maybe even physically cleansing. Take a spiritual bath, or cleansing your space, cleansing your mind, putting your mind on things that are going to bring you happiness and joy and make you feel really good, make you feel happy, aligned, positive, wealthy, successful, healthy, wealthy, and wise, all those good things. Even maybe forgiving or taking your mind off past hurts. If you've been doing a lot of shadow work lately, that's amazing and it's a beautiful thing. But also sometimes we got to know kind of when to hold them, when to fold them, right? Like when to be like, not going to think on this anymore. God bless you. I wish you the best. But I'm going to focus on happiness and positivity and seeking out building those new relationships and seeking out the people that bring us joy, seeking out the things that just give us that beautiful sense of delight is such an important part of creating a beautiful life. Let me get into some of these cards for pile number 2. So we got protected by angels. You are cherished by the angels and support is all around you. So you definitely have a lot of support from your spiritual team. You have a lot of support from them, and I feel like they want to help you because, again, you're kind of this beacon for others. A lot of you guys are very energetically infectious. You have a very strong aura. So people around you feel better when interacting with you. So they want to always do extra work for those people. It reminds me of this guy who was on Oprah, and he's a guy who survived a plane crash, like one of the only people who survived this plane crash. And what happened was the plane, I don't know exactly, I can't remember all the details, but the plane had an issue in midair. Obviously, I can't remember what happened. And I think the plane was hit by something and it caught on fire or something like that. I can't remember. I don't know. Or actually, I think what happened was it fell apart in midair. Like it literally fell in half. It smashed, it opened in half. And then the plane obviously plummeted from the sky, or was plummeting, and it broke in half. I don't know. But the guy said that, first of all, like time slowed down in his memory of this, which happens a lot in these kinds of experiences. But what happened is he's not a spiritual guy. He doesn't practice any religion at all. But when the plane split in half, he turned around, or he was able to look around the plane. And he said what he saw was all these people, and they all had lights coming out of their body. So they had this light hovering above their body. So their bodies were there, and then there was their light body like up above them. And he said it was just so interesting because there were so many people who had like a dimmer light, and then there was some people who had the most beautiful bright light about them. And he said ever since that plane crash, which he miraculously survived to the fall to the ground and everything, he said he's always striven to have a bright light and to be a brighter light and not to be a dim light. And that was what he took away from it. He's still not religious, kind of crazy, but anyway, or spiritual, but he is, but he does try to be that bright light. And I think you guys are an example of a beautiful bright light. So keep in mind that, just like maybe a VIP in the physical human world will have a bunch of bodyguards around them, our spirit guides definitely want to protect those who have bright lights around them and who are working for some greater good. So make sure you're looking out for yourself. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. You're doing things that make you happy. You're doing things that make you feel joyful, because pile 2, I'm hearing you guys are very infectious. Your energy rubs off on others so deeply, and you need to know that. Let's get a couple of final cards, messages for pile 2. What messages do we have? First, light, beginning a new cycle, an impasse, reflect and redirect your energy. So again, I think it's just, this final message of no longer pouring things into things that make you upset or things that make you happy, or doing things where you feel like you're just like beating your head against the wall, or if you're at some job that drains your energy, or you're dealing with someone that just really drains you. How can I bring more joy in? How can I protect myself? How can I find things that are going to make me feel like my best version of myself? Because I feel like you guys are going to find that the more you step into your magical energy, the more things happen for you, the more the more blessings you will get, the more blessings you're able to give to others, and the more blessings that you'll get back according to the law of karma. So yeah, I think that you're going to find that even though it seems counterintuitive, the more you find time to seek out joy and delight in your everyday life and not put up with the things that are making you feel drained or down, the more beautiful blessings, financial blessings, just blessings all over are going to happen to you. So I know it doesn't seem like it would be a good thing to sit out by the pool and relax. That doesn't seem like it's helping your career, but it very well might in your case, pile two. So I think that's what I have for you, pile two. I really hope it resonated. If it did, let me know in the comments. I always love hearing from you, love hearing your thoughts, your stories. So let me know what you think. Also, make sure to give this reading a thumbs up, hit the like button, and make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, hit that little bell. And if you want to see more of my content, head to my Patreon where I post all my additional readings. I just posted one all about your weaknesses, and before that, all about your love life in a past life. So there's lots of readings over there though, over at 65, and there's also access to my ad-free YouTube videos as well as early access to my YouTube videos, so they get posted over there first and then posted over here a little bit later. So lots of content to go through. If you want to join and sign up, head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments in the description, and I'd love to see you there. Also, if you want to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com. You can sign up for me to read your tarot, channel for you, do your astrology, mediumship. I think I didn't mention that one. So there's lots of different options to choose from, and you get to have me channel whatever you want. So yeah, go to my website, briarrosetarot.com if you'd like that. Link is in my description as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm sending you so much love and light, and I'll be back again very soon with another reading. Take care, guys. Bye. Hey pile three, welcome to your reading. So if you guys picked this card, this is going to be your reading. So for your other cards, you got Magical Map Shifter, Heal the Ouch, Ride the Wave, Stuck in the Mud, and Storm Fields. So for some of you guys, there is a message that maybe lately you have been thinking of someone from your past, or you have just been doing a lot of shadow work. You might have had a lot of memories or even traumas come up of things from your past. You might have been doing a lot of healing work and just felt very like almost overwhelmed, or even, I want to say, triggered by some of these past memories coming up. This is a timeless reading, so of course you can be watching it at any time. But if you're watching it when I'm going to be putting it out, it is right after or during eclipse season. And so of course that really conjures up a lot of deep feelings, and that can bring up painful memories from the past, and memories of relationships or people. My point is in bringing all that up is that there's this message that you don't have to stay stuck there, and that you can choose to move forward. You can choose to kind of move past it. Sometimes we don't get like the closure we want. Sometimes we don't get the apology we may have been owed or we may deserve. But the thing is that the great thing is that we don't need it to be able to move on and to live our best life. We actually can be perfectly fine and happy without it. And once we realize that, we'll stop kind of feeling any bitterness or anger about that person, because we realize that there's no sense even rehashing or like getting upset about stuff that happened in the past. First of all, the Akashic records exist. Okay, karma exists. Spirit will take stock of whoever has done you wrong or whoever has treated you badly. So there's no need to be angry about anything in the past. Spirit will take care of it and handle it. And oftentimes the worst karma someone can get is just staying stuck and repeating a cycle over and over where they don't learn the lesson. They don't, you know how sometimes people will say, well, I want to teach them a lesson. Well, think about how much like teachers get paid every year. They get a salary. It may not be like millions and millions, but they get paid a good salary in many places. And so teaching is hard work. So why are we signing up to do work for free, especially when the actual worst thing that could happen to them is that they continue learning that lesson. They keep beating their head against the wall, wondering why do I keep getting stuck in these situations? This is so unfair. My life keeps going wrong. You know, that will be their karma, is having to repeat that lesson over and over and over, possibly for multiple lifetimes. So like I said, no matter what happens, Spirit is handling it. Spirit is taking care of it, and it will all work out. The best thing we can do to move forward is to focus on the place we're trying to head to. the trajectory we're going to. Just like if you were, if you wanted to go somewhere, you'd put your destination in Google Maps. You wouldn't put your location where you started, or someplace you used to be that you thought was cool, or someplace you've been thinking about in the past that you've also been. You put the place you want to go. And by the same token, we really have to make sure that our mind is fixed on the places we're trying to end up in, the places, the things we're trying to achieve, the places we're trying to go. We need to really start focusing on that and focusing on building a life around that. And for some of you guys, you might be like, well, I feel like I have let go of certain things in the past. I feel like some of you in this pile, maybe you had to deal with heavy trauma or heavy childhoods, or people that just really did treat you bad. But the lesson is that there's no point in staying stuck in that or hoping that those people are going to come back and learn their lesson. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. But the truth is that every day we're kind of becoming new people. We're changing our alignment. We're changing our energy. And we might align differently with new people, and we might not align with the same people that we did in the past. And so that's why it's really crucially important to kind of keep it moving, and to focus on being open to new experiences, new people, new adventures, new places. I think so much of the time when we are in an energy of rumination, when we are thinking about a past person or a past relationship or an old friendship or an old job, it's because we don't have something new to focus on, right? It's because we haven't really opened our heart up to like a new experience. So we keep hyper fixating on that person from the past, or we keep hyper fixating on those old friends because we don't really like our new friend group, or maybe we don't have a new friend group right now. And so sometimes it's all about doing the hard work of kind of like starting to make those connections, going on those dates that maybe a few of them are going to be kind of awkward at first, because first dates, no one really likes them. Pushing ourselves, putting ourselves out there, giving it our all, and not just kind of living in like memories of like what used to be. So there's this message for you guys that if you have been focused on healing, it's not to say that that's a bad thing. Of course, it's great to do healing work, but also at a certain point, we kind of got to know like when to kind of chill and just relax and lean into this beautiful new life we're creating, Sometimes it's kind of like we're doing so much shadow work and we think we're moving forward, but we keep staying stuck on replaying stuff. We keep staying stuck on kind of some bitterness about how someone treated us. And we're kind of getting energetically like bungled up in that. We don't even realize how much our energy has been kind of off, or there's been a tinge of bitterness to our conversation. It's kind of like how you might go on, say, a first date, or you meet someone and they might make a joke about their ex-girlfriend, and they might act like they're completely over her. Like you'll be like, oh my God, I love ice cream. And they'll be like, oh, thank God, my ex, she didn't eat any carbs. So sugar and ice cream were off the table. And in their mind, they're being lighthearted and totally chill. But in our mind, we're like, whoa, why did you bring up your ex-girlfriend? Like that had nothing to do with her over some ice cream. Like, what does this even have to do with it? And so we can tell, we're like, oh, red flag, that person's still focused on them. And in their mind, they're probably like, no, I'm good, I'm fine. But really there's that energetic kind of stickiness that they have towards that old relationship. And that's why it's so important to make sure that we're actively choosing to like leave stuff in the past, focus on creating something new, and really giving it our all, not just dipping into the past occasionally and kind of living in memory, or thinking about old things, but really stepping forward into the kind of life we want to create for ourselves, the kind of life that we want to end up in, instead of thinking about things that happened years ago or months ago or whatever. So yeah, I think it's great to do shadow work. It's great to do this processing, but also we got to know kind of when to hold them, when to fold them, and when to be like, oof, okay, I've been processing stuff about that for a while now. Maybe I'm just gonna like do something that makes me really happy today. And speaking of ice cream, gonna go walk to the little ice cream shop and get myself a little cone of ice cream, because that'll make me happy, whatever it is. But finding those opportunities to kind of make ourselves be more present in our daily life, I think is really key to the moving forward. Let's get into some more cards. So we got 7 of Wands, the Magician, 5 of Wands reverse, the King of Swords, 5 of Cups, and the Queen of Wands reversed. So some of you guys just may not even want to like put yourselves out there in that way. Like, I feel that some of you guys are like, yeah, I don't even want to like engage. I don't even want to energetically mesh with new people, meet new people. I just kind of want to stay in my energy. I don't want to have to go out there. I don't want to have to be perceived even. But there's this energy that you're kind of holding yourself back, you know? Whenever we're living in a place of like pure comfort or fear even, and just like, well, I'm comfortable with these things, then that's not really going to be living up to our highest potential. You know, if you think about like a runner who's trying to like win the gold medal, they're probably not going to be super comfortable. It's not going to be a comfortable process, but that's the path they have to be on to achieve their goals, their dreams, and make certain things happen. And by the same token, sometimes when there's something amazing that we want to do, but we're focused on staying in our comfort zone, and the idea of meeting new people kind of stresses us out, or the idea of applying for a new job is just kind of scary, or the idea of putting ourselves out there on YouTube or whatever we're wanting to build, or Etsy or whatever kind of freaks us out, and I don't want to have to learn that, and it's just kind of a lot of work, then we're not going to be able to achieve that highest goal. So I think some of you guys, you don't even realize how powerful your energy is. And I think you might even do, like, I've heard of things where people will like write down they'll set an alarm to go off like randomly throughout the day, or a timer or something. I think you can download apps that will do this randomly throughout the day, like a little alarm to go off at different times. And then they have to write down what they were thinking of at that moment. And you guys might be surprised if you did that to find you're ruminating about a certain thing, or you keep obsessing over something from your past. I think it would be really interesting for you to do something like that, because I feel like you don't even realize how much of your energy you do give away to others, how much of your energy you spend kind of pouring it out into situations that aren't actually benefiting you and aren't actually the things you want to manifest. Like, I bet when you sit down and think about like, yeah, I want to build this kind of a life, it's not going to be thinking about my ex-boyfriend, or thinking about, a family member that I don't talk to anymore, or thinking about a friendship I used to have, or thinking about a school situation that I was in where I was treated really unfairly. Like, who would want to build a life out of those situations, right? We want to build a life that makes us happy, that makes us feel positive, that makes us feel joyful. And with a lot of these cards, especially Magical Map Shifter coming out under the Magician, I feel like that is your message, that you are the creator. You get to create your life. You get to create exactly what you want, but you have to take control of your mind. We have the King of Swords, and the King of Swords is in full control of his mind. Swords are mental. Swords are communication, mental, that kind of a thing. So he is in full control of his brain. He knows exactly what he's thinking about. He's not going to waste his time thinking about something that's a total waste of time, and diffusing his energy out into past fruitless things that aren't going to pay off. He's going to be very careful about keeping his mind on track in the right direction. And by the same token, I feel like a lot of you guys need to be very careful with what you allow yourselves to think about. You might be stressing about a situation and not even realize it. I think so much of the time when people are in a negative spiral about money, wondering if they have enough, thinking so negatively about their finances, thinking about like, oh, I'm never going to be able to afford that. I'm never going to be able to pay that bill. I'm never going to blah, blah, blah. When if they took their energy and shifted it back and started thinking, I am going to afford that. One day I'm going to have that. I have enough money now. I'm abundant now. I'm so grateful for all the money I do have. I feel so blessed. I feel so abundant. I feel so joyful and lucky and favored. Then that energy would shift so powerfully, and they would probably find their income or their budget freed up a little bit. So yeah, I think a lot of the time, even though maybe we do have legitimate worries, maybe it is a tight budget that month, maybe there is a financially very negative situation, but the more we spiral down into this like fatalistic, worried, oh my God, it's the end of the world type situation, the worse that is going to get. And the more we can take control of our thoughts and we can force ourselves to be positive and we can make it a habit to redirect and be like, oh no, not going to do that. Not going to go into this fatalistic, oh my God, I'm going to be broke. I don't have anything. I'm not making enough money spiral. But instead be in an energy of, I always have more than enough. I'm always taken care of. I always have enough money. I am abundant. I am wealthy. I am feeling good. I am successful. And then that energy is going to compound on ourselves. Again, where we focus our thoughts is where we head. Just like where you point a car, where you're looking, when you're driving a car, right? You're staring straight ahead at the road. And by the same token, when we are trying to head somewhere, we got to keep our eyes fixed on it. We can't be distracted looking around one moment, feeling stressed, and then getting ourselves back on track. We really got to try hard to get super consistent about keeping our eyes on the prize and headed to the point we want to end up in. So yeah, there is this message for you of not allowing yourself to kind of get swamped by negativity, not allowing yourself to fall down any kind of a spiral with that, or even getting caught up in like small negativities, people trying to fight you, you know, negative stuff online, or random strangers being rude to you and getting in a spiral of like, oh, I can't believe they talked to me like that, or blah, blah, blah. I think sometimes it's so powerful to even make a playlist of music, of things that make us happy, or songs that make us feel joyful, or songs that remind us of a certain manifestation we're trying to build. Like maybe we're trying to manifest a new apartment and we know we want the apartment to feel like bright and airy and super light filled. And then maybe we can make a playlist of songs that make us feel kind of like bright. Maybe for us, those are songs that are kind of like tropical vibe kind of songs. I don't know, you know, like maybe Tame Impala or something that's kind of psychedelic and feels very like dreamy and drifty. So if we're trying to manifest that house with really big windows and lots of light coming in, maybe we'll make a playlist with kind of like psychedelic Tame Impala type songs to bring that in. Or maybe if we want kind of like a cozy dark vibe, we can make a playlist full of like more gothic, like maybe even emo songs that make us feel kind of like cozy. At least that's how I like us. That's what I associate a lot of like feelings with music. I don't know if everyone's the same. I'm like, I don't know if anyone else is going to know what I'm talking about with these songs, but those are just energies I associate with them. Of course, you can do your own, but you know, I think it's really great to have kind of touchstones we can turn to that will remind us of like, okay, this is what I'm pursuing. This is what I'm going after. And even just sitting down and really thinking on that, really imagining ourselves in that place, really pouring all our energy into it will help us so much. So we also got stranger, curiosity, fool's embrace, transmuting pain, lost in space, needing direction, and deep diver, diving into a task. I love this lost in space, needing direction, because I think so much of the time, like that's how we can all be. Unless we actually have a goal or some kind of a target we've set our mind on, a lot of times we are that person who's kind of drifting around. We don't really know where we're going. One moment we're upset and emotional, so we're going to be manifesting that, and the next moment we're happy because of something small, so we're manifesting that, and then one moment we're kind of mad because someone was rude to us, and it's like our energy is just boomeranging all around the place, and we make, you know, momentum on one area, and then we kind of snatch it back by getting upset, and then we start moving in that direction, and then we boomerang it back by getting happy, and it's like it doesn't actually take us anywhere, you know. And if we could just use our energy and keep focusing it so strongly on one kind of a goal, you'd be amazed at how easy it is to achieve. I feel like some of you guys have just been distracted. Like you have been processing stuff. And I do feel like you have this message of like, it's time for you, or maybe it's okay for you to let it go. I don't want to ever scold anyone and be like, just get over it. It's time to let it go. Well, maybe it's okay for you. Maybe you need to give yourself that permission and just hear like, it's good, it's okay. And even if there is still stuff that you haven't processed, that's okay. It's okay sometimes just to leave something in the past and be like, you know what? I'm done thinking about it. I don't want to give it any more energy. It's leeching too much of my joy. It's stressing me out. I'm just going to leave this I'm just going to leave this here. I'm not going to carry it around anymore. I'm just going to focus on the future. So I feel like you kind of need to hear, like, there may be situations in your life that you keep ruminating about, that you keep hoping one day you'll get the clarity on. One day you're going to finally figure it out. And you might need to know that you're never going to get the clarity. You're never going to fully understand why they did what they did, or why they acted that way, or how they feel. Keep in mind that there's plenty of unevolved souls that are basically not self-aware at all, and they'll do things and they'll never think about it, they'll never process it, they'll never reflect. You'll never get that apologetic letter from them being like, I'm so sorry. Even if what they did is super messed up, they're never going to have, you know, that level of emotional and spiritual maturity it takes to kind of do that processing. Because not all souls, and it's not to make fun of like younger souls or people who you know, haven't reached that level yet, but not all souls are at the same level of development. Some souls are more mature than others, and some souls are less mature. Just like you wouldn't expect a little kid to write you a 10-page apology note because they did some, you know, because they like knocked over one of your vases. You can't expect an immature soul to kind of fully process what they did, you know. Maybe an adult would do that. Maybe an adult would be like, I'm so sorry, I so apologize. But a little kid probably isn't going to process what happened and what they did wrong and, you know, how it hurt you. They're not even going to have the wherewithal to do that. So why are we sitting around waiting for it? Sometimes we just got to realize, I gotta let it go. And no ill will towards you. I wish you the best. And Spirit can take care of whatever karma needs to happen. And I'm gonna focus on me. And I'm gonna give myself permission to move on, because I don't deserve to stay stuck in this energy. I don't deserve to stay rehashing and processing and going back and replaying some stupid BS to someone who probably doesn't even notice, doesn't even know they did anything wrong, never will. And maybe they'll get that lesson on the other side. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll have to rehash it again for more and more lifetimes until it finally clicks. Either way, not your problem. And just focus on yourself, building your life. Let's get some message cards for pile number 3. What messages do we have for pile number 3, Spirit? Discovering truth. You stand in the light of truth. Okay. In the flow, everything is smooth sailing. Choosing your path, all is possible. And faraway places, get ready for new horizons. And I think what this card makes me think of, again, is the Magician, Magical Map Shifter. How spiritually powerful you are, pile 3. A lot of you in this pile, you guys are so incredibly powerful. You can create whatever kind of life you want. You are an endlessly powerful, capable, you have so much potential to do whatever. So with that being said, if you knew that your thoughts were creating your reality and you were this incredibly powerful person, wouldn't you use it to create something beautiful instead of focusing on negative stuff? You know, it's reminding me, Spirit just showed me this funny image of someone who like owns a bulldozer or can operate a bulldozer. And imagine someone operating that bulldozer mindlessly and all the damage it would cause, them like accidentally knocking over a tree in a building, ripping something up, you know, like not even knowing what they're doing, versus someone who's intentionally like, ooh, let me build a beautiful foundation for this house. Let me dig this out and let me go down deep so we can have this really cool 2-story basement. And let me make sure that, you know, it's in a perfect line with the like outline of the house. And let me make sure that it's exactly this amount wide and this deep and this long. How powerful that tool can be, and then how destructive it can be when we don't take control of it. Because I feel like you guys are master manifestors. So the more time you're spending focusing or fixating on someone from the past, trying to understand them, trying to see what they're doing, trying to make sense of all of it, the less time and the more kind of destruction it can cause, and the less time you have to build that beautiful new life, new house that you want for yourself. So I definitely feel like what you're going to have to ask yourself is, are these thoughts, is the shadow work I'm doing, is it really serving me? You know, shadow work is super important. It definitely has its place, but sometimes we can get into a loop of just doing all the shadow work over and over and over and over and over, and it doesn't even stay a shadow work the whole time. It just becomes this kind of like, I don't know, self-flagellating, or kind of just like, what is it, masochistic act of just like going over something really painful and kind of pressing on a bruise. And instead of healing, it just kind of is really painful and it stinks. So I think for you guys, you need to question, like, how am I using my thoughts? Am I using them to create a beautiful new life? Am I really staying stuck in the past? What's going on here? Because I'm the master of my own destiny. I'm the master of my own fate. So do I want to stay fixated on the things that went wrong, or do I want to build a life that I'm so happy with, that I'm thrilled with, that I love, with people that I love, with places that bring me joy, places that make me happy? And if that's the case and that's what I want to build, then how can I seek those things out? And how can I stop giving any thought to any of the things that give me pain or make me sad, or people that treated me bad? So a good practice for this is when thoughts of those negative situations, negative people, negative whatever comes up, just to send them love and light in our mind, just to send them white light, and just kind of, yeah, like, I wish you the best. And that's all, you know, and just leaving it at that, and knowing that they're no longer they're no longer maybe going to be a part of our story, and that's okay. And we're creating a beautiful new life that hopefully is going to be a million times better. So I think that's what I have for you, pile 3. I really hope it resonated. If it did, let me know in the comments. I always love hearing from you guys. Also, make sure to like, subscribe, turn on notifications. And if you want to see more of my content, head to my Patreon. I just posted a reading all about your weaknesses. So that's a heavy one. And before that, I posted one all about your love life in past lifetimes. But as soon as you sign up, you'll get access to over 65 additional readings. And you will also get early access to my YouTube videos, and they're ad-free. So double whammy. You get to see the YouTube videos before they come out over here, and you get all the other videos that are just exclusive to Patreon. So if you want to join us over there, head to the link underneath the timestamps in the comments and the description. I would love to see you join us on Patreon. And if you want to get a private one-on-one reading with me, you can get that at my website, briarrosetarot.com, and you can sign up for a tarot reading, a mediumship reading, channeling, an astrology reading, and you get to have me focus on basically whatever you want. So with all of that being said, oh, and to get that, go to my website, briarrosetarot.com. Link is in my description for that. So now I can say, with all that being said, thanks for watching, guys. I'm sending you lots of love and light, and I will see you again very soon with another reading. Take care, guys. Bye.